Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Did we just see NXT's promo of the year? I am Luco and this is El Fakador Laurie Blake, and welcome to the post-NXT edition of WrestleRamble, where some people, particularly on our Discord channel, there are some people over there are some people I've seen online who thought that Johnny Gargano's promo, which he recorded on his cell phone about Aleister Black, was the best promo in NXT this year. Personally, I don't think so.
No, he's very popular though, isn't he?
He's very
It turns
popular.
out he's very popular.
But what I would say is that it was a very cool promo. It was a very cool, it was very well put together. So it was kind of set up earlier in the night where Candice LeRae was walking outside the building earlier in the day, and she addressed that Nikki Cross was kind of meddling in their affairs and their personal life. She didn't want her personal life interfering with her professional life. And, you know, she
shouldn't have married Johnny Gargano then.
Well, absolutely, yes.
He's all about that.
Yeah, and they're now doing this with Renee Young and Dean Ambrose by the looks of things on Raw, so we'll see how that goes. But she challenged Nikki Cross to a match, which is going to ask Regal for a match with Nikki Cross. And then it was announced that Johnny Gargano had literally just sent in a video of him explaining his actions, so to speak, I guess. And then we got that later in the night, and it was a cell phone recorded promo. It's one of the cool things about NXT. It looks like the wrestlers themselves are kind of providing stuff for the show. Like they've approached the production team and said, I want to put this in, or sent something to William Regal and said, I want this to be on the show. And then William Regal, being the general manager, is like, yes, I think I will put this on the show, actually.
Do you know what? Absolutely. I don't understand how phones work, though, so if you could show me, that'd be really good. And also, if you could set my VCR, that'd be great.
I'm trying to record Heartbeat.
He doesn't know it's been cancelled.
I just really want to watch Brookside.
And anyway, so Johnny Gargano is on the path that he attacked Aleister Black on that night, that fateful night when Aleister Black was run over and or attacked. And he kind of does it. He explains the reason why he attacked Aleister Black, and that reason was you're right there.
Yeah, sorry. You have to bleep that. So.
I will be. He says the reason is because he felt that he was the only person who could defeat Ciampa for the NXT Championship, and he wanted it to be him. And it was originally supposed to be a triple threat, and so he took out Aleister Black to make it a singles match. And he says that, like, people are asking why I've changed, and I haven't changed. I'm the same Johnny Gargano I've always been. I fight for what is right, but sometimes you have to fight a little dirty.
I love this. I thought this was really good. I love the idea that he still thinks he's the hero.
Yes, yes.
You know, it's that same like delusional. Like Dolph Ziggler's doing a little bit of like delusional stuff on Raw as well, but this is next level delusion of like, you know. I think it's better than just going, I'm the best. It's better to just be like, no, I'm the hero. Like, I'm the one, like, to suddenly, and it's been so well built up. Like, Ciampa's been teasing it for weeks as well on Twitter and in some of his promos, saying that obviously, like, Johnny was the one who was getting all the cheers, even though I was carrying the team and Johnny was the one taking the pinfalls. Yeah. But everyone loved Johnny wrestling, and now Johnny believes his own hype.
Yeah. He's there going, like, guys, no, I'm right.
Yeah.
Like, I've done this for you.
Absolutely,
you're supposed to cheer me now. And he does. He believes that. And he says that he used to be afraid of the dark. Obviously, Aleister Black likes to fade people to black. But he kind of likes the dark now. And then he ends the promo and he sits down in the exact same spot that Aleister Black was found lying on the floor, and he says, "Hey Black, like, hey Aleister, does this look familiar to you?" And he kind of like shoots the floor like with the phone, not with a gun, and that was it. And that's the end of the promo. And it kind of he puts the phone down. A very, very cool segment.
Yeah, he says, "This is the spot where I left you laying.
Yes,
and come take over War Games, I will leave you laying again."
It was very cool. I thought it was a very well put together segment, but for me, like, it's not promo of the year. I don't think I would know what promo of the year is. I would probably give it to someone like Adam Cole. I'm sure
Ricochet.
He is. Yeah, that Ricochet segment with the Velveteen Dream,
which is probably more Dreams promo. Ricochet just did one cool thing.
He did the
he
flip.
Did one really. He did do a flip.
Yeah, he spoke with the flip, and that's
he said it all with his beautiful gymnastics.
Sometimes that's all you need to do is say everything in flips. And
he's taken sign language to the next level.
Flip language. So I thought it was a very cool segment, but I wouldn't say it was promo of the year. But what I liked about it was, as you say, kind of like this new direction for the character of Johnny Gargano, which is that, no, like, I'm right. What I've done is like the best thing ever.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to watch him fall in a way that's not just like, Ciampa's heel turn was a very swervy, suddenly he's bad, magically he's bad, and then actually it's taken this long for him to justify kind of why he did it. And it turns out that he's also possibly right in this situation actually now, because like Ciampa's whole thing was saying, like Johnny was a bit of a knob, like he was like really into being the crowd favourite, and actually like he was the one letting us down and playing too much to them and doing all this stuff. And then it turns out Johnny does believe his hype, so maybe Ciampa's right.
I would disagree slightly. I think that Ciampa, when he did turn heel, it was a very much like a long time coming. It was very much like a predetermined thing of like going back to the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic, when like it looked like he was going to turn his back on Gargano there. So I think they did a nice sort of slow burn for that. But yeah, then obviously he was out for a year, which then delayed the reasoning for why he did it.
Yes.
But it works so nicely as a character piece for like, because technically Ciampa was right anyway. Johnny was the one that was taking the pinfalls. I think there was one match where Ciampa took a pinfall, but most of the time it was Johnny wrestling losing the matches for DIY. So Ciampa was the best kind of heels, the ones who were justified in their actions, so to speak. So it is now kind of interesting that, Johnny... Because what Johnny Wrestling is doing here isn't right. Like, him taking out Aleister Black so he could have a one-on-one match was not the right thing to do. Categorically was not the right thing to do.
No.
But to Johnny Wrestling, to Johnny Gargano, it was the right thing. And I love that, actually. I think that's a really interesting turn for him.
Yeah, I'm pleased that this is happening, and I hope, like, actually, it's nice to have it affect it in a way that doesn't just mean we just get another Gargano and Ciampa match.
Yes.
Like, we actually get to have, like, singles matches here, and it was obviously the perfect cover for Black's injury anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we get to see Gargano versus Black, and that's great. And I would love to see Johnny go on and do more of that sort of like, I guess his own version of vigilanteism, like going around NXT.
Well, he is wearing like Venom on his hoodie now, so
sorting out problems, that kind of thing.
Being a cool anti-hero. It is interesting, actually, you mentioned that, because Aleister Black was legit injured. That's why he was taken out of that match. Whether this was the plan all along was to kind of turn Gargano heel, or whether that has come as sort of like off the back of Black being injured and being taken out of that match. I mean, with the way that NXT is booked and it's very much a long-term thing, I can almost see that it was always the plan.
I think it was. I think we've seen enough of Johnny falling victim of his own hubris in the previous matches that Ciampa and he had before Black was ever introduced into the mix and before Ciampa even had the belt. Like, Johnny lost those matches because he went too far. And he let his sort of dark side out because he thought he was justified in doing that and trying to hurt Ciampa. So I guess like it kind of always was the thing that Johnny would fall as a victim of his own sort of like lust for vengeance or whatever. And the more heelish he got, the more he lost.
Yeah.
But the more evil, I guess, he wanted to be in response to that, it seems like.
I could definitely see that perhaps the original plan was that Ciampa was going to win at... I can't remember which show it was now. Was it Brooklyn 4, where there was supposed to be the triple threat? I think it was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Let's say it was Brooklyn. It might not have been. But let's say it was Brooklyn. I think it was Brooklyn because I wasn't here for it. So say it was like it was going to be this triple threat and Ciampa was always going to win that. I could almost see Johnny then blaming Black for the loss. And being like, well, if it was a one-on-one match,
yes,
I would have won that, and that would have been what fueled his heel turn. But actually, now we've got this quite nice thing of him. We had a cool mystery instead, where Scooby-Doo got to come in, and Scooby-Doo being Nikki Cross, obviously, to come in and solve the mystery for us.
I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for this crazy bint.
But anyway, let's crack on with the rest of the NXT review. Now, to peel back the curtain ever so slightly here on the inner workings of WrestleTalk, we've been asked a lot, like pretty much since I joined this organization, to be like, hey, why aren't you guys doing weekly NXT reviews? Do weekly NXT reviews. Do weekly NXT reviews. And we always sort of held off on it. The audience for NXT is quite small in comparison to Raw and SmackDown, things like that. There's YouTube algorithm stuff that would affect things. So that's why we kind of had to set it as this Patreon target. And one of the other reasons I had as sort of like as a hesitation to do NXT reviews was that oftentimes there are just just NXT episodes that happen and there's not a lot to talk about. And thankfully, since we've started doing that for the last few weeks, there has been things to talk about. And I started to think, maybe I've just been wrong. Maybe there is always something to talk about with NXT. And then this show happened where I was like, oh no, sometimes there are just weeks where nothing happens. Yeah.
Some good wrestling happened.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of forward momentum.
Absolutely perfectly fine wrestling was on this show, but and the hour flew by, I guess. But as you said, as like creating momentum to lead into a pay-per-view, not so much.
The hour flew by as if it almost wasn't there.
Exactly. Like if I didn't see this episode, I think I would have gone into War Games with the exact same feelings I had about the matches. Obviously, a match did get announced, and the end segment was quite cool. But yeah. Anyway, so let's dive into it. We kicked off with a tag team match featuring Heavy Machinery and the Forgotten Sons, being made up of Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. As a bit of a mistake I made that I'd like to correct from the very first NXT Ramble review we did. I said that Jackson Riker, I think that's his new name, I said that it was Bram in NTNA. Gunner, mate, wasn't it? Obviously, I was thinking of the wrong James Storm partner.
Blooming Gunner.
Bloody Gunner, wasn't it? So that was my mistake. Really, this match for me was all about how awesome Otis Dozovic is.
Yeah.
He's so good.
But he is really good, but also, I don't feel like we need to know that again. Like, you know what I mean? He's literally just had a match against Ciampa. And I felt like they were trying to make the Forgotten Sons a thing for the last couple of months, and now, no.
Yeah,
I just why? Like, one, if that's the case, if the idea is that Blake and Cutler are naff if Riker's not in the ring, just put Riker in the ring, like. And I think also Heavy Machinery wouldn't have been that damaged by a loss here through shenanigans or whatever you want to do. Like there's
a third man on the outside.
Yeah, there are plenty of ways to tip this in the favour of the Forgotten Sons and have them pick up the pinfall to then gain momentum. Because then when we get to the end of this year, and either after one of the big pay-per-views like maybe Survivor Series or WrestleMania, they're going to lose a bunch of tag teams and they're going to need some heel ones. It's because who knows where the Undisputed Era are going to end up. So they're going to need some heel tag teams. This was a perfect opportunity to make one that isn't the Mighty, who have also been in and out and injured and not really doing much with, and wear leather jackets as if that's cool. Like
they're heels now.
Yeah, really long dusters. The Matrix. Yeah. But this just feels like, why would you do that?
It was weird because they were putting over in this match as wow, Heavy Machinery, they really need to rebuild themselves and establish their dominance within the tag team division again. And then when I saw they were facing the Forgotten Sons, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a team you're pushing, though. So, surely you got to be giving the win to the Forgotten Sons here and, kind of get some momentum for them. And so I was really surprised when, this match went 12 minutes. Good Lord, did not need to go 12 minutes. There was so many, false finishes. I was like, this match is still going, I guess. It's still going. And then the Forgotten Sons lost. Heavy Machinery pick up the win. Otis Dozovic hits a pop-up front slam, which did look wicked. And
it's really good.
I'm a big, big fan of Heavy Machinery, particularly, I say fan of Heavy Machinery, I'm a fan of Otis Dozovic. I think that he is dragging the best out of Tucker Knight. But I think Otis is so charismatic. He's as wide as he is tall. He's just
he's Mr. Strong.
He really is Mr. Strong. A big square man with these legs. Yeah. And it's so...
You got killed by geometry.
He is someone who will get over on the main roster in the first couple of weeks because he'll just do the worm and that will get over.
Yes, yeah.
And then he'll become No Way Jose and just not make TV ever again. That's kind of how I feel about Otis, which is a shame because I think there's so much mileage you can get out of him. Heavy Machinery could be your version of, it seems like an obvious comparison given the worm, but of Too Cool.
Yes.
A really fun opening act you can put onto a pay-per-view just to get the crowd warmed up and things like that. I don't see them being future top tag team stars. No. But there are certainly stuff you can get out of them.
But they're going to be top in NXT soon, mate, because they've beaten the Forgotten Sons now.
I kind of guess. Yeah. I kind of guess, yeah. But I suppose they've got War Raiders, who have also got beards and are big.
But this is what I'm saying, War Raiders are faces, right? So, we're going to need someone who isn't Undisputed Era to challenge again. And, maybe we'll get Street Profits. hopefully.
Who are also baby faces.
Who are also baby faces, but like, you need some heels. You can't really we can't just do War Raiders Undisputed Era until the end of time, because Undisputed Era have been in the last 4 feuds for the tag titles, even when they weren't in it, even when they didn't have the belt. So it's like, okay, well, who is going to be? It's not going to be the Mighty. I tell you, it's not going to be. It is not going to be the Mighty.
I feel bad for the Mighty.
I feel bad for them, but TM61 was not a good name.
No, it was not.
And then they were unlucky with injuries, and then they came back, and again, it was the same thing with the Forgotten Sons. Like, someone returned in new packaging, or just a big return for TM61, and they were saying the whole time, like, these guys, they've got a lot to prove. They come back, blah 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 blah, and immediately they started taking losses, and it was just like, okay, well, fine. And then they turn, and then it's 6 months even after that before they turn heel and start to get some momentum. And then again, now they're just losing to the Street Profits again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I think a loss like this does kind of derail the Forgotten Sons, because like I haven't watched all of NXT this year. Like, I actually missed the debut of the Forgotten Sons, but I did see like the Jackson Riker stuff that they did. So it kind of seems weird that so early on into this, they've just lost this 12-minute match. And really, this 12-minute match wasn't for anything. Like, no. I don't think Heavy Machinery have come out better because of it. And Forgotten Sons certainly didn't come out better for it either.
Riker didn't even try. It's like, he didn't even try. He didn't even try and get involved. He was literally there to catch someone being pushed off the top, and that was his only role in this match.
Pretty much. I mean, I'll be honest, I genuinely forgot he was part of this until we got to the end. Yeah,
which is a shame, because he was so intense in the beginning. I like his entrance, which is just stare down the lens of the camera.
As scary as he can, yeah. I think Heavy Machinery are fun, but this match went far too long. We got a recap of the angle last week with Aleister Black and Candice LeRae, and that's when we got the Candice LeRae earlier in the day interview, and we found out that Johnny Gargano has sent in a video. We then got a backstage segment with the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, and she's there with Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. Baszler. Oh, she's so good. Like, I was for Ramble Club, spoilers for Ramble Club, I was rewatching the Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair the Evolution match, the last women's standing match, and the match that was before that was Baszler Sane. And just hearing Shayna Baszler's music just made me go like, gosh, she's the best.
Yeah,
she's so good. And she's there with Shafir and Duke, and I'm like, she's absolute money. Like, she's absolutely brilliant. She's there with Kathy Kelly, and Baszler's there going like, how many times do I have to beat Kairi Sane? Like, I've proven my point. Like, why do I need to talk about her ever again? But unfortunately, Regal walks in and announces that Kairi Sane has invoked her rematch clause, which is going to go down at War Games in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
It's cool, but also, how many rematches are we going to have? How many matches of this are we going to have?
Well, this would be their fourth, their fourth match.
And I just don't feel like this is the same level blood feud, title feud that I think Ciampa and Gargano can have 5 matches in a row, because also they left it all on the they left it all out there, like they just did everything that you could possibly do. Yeah. But I think that's done now, and I felt like Shayna winning the title back from Sane was probably the line under this that we needed. We've had them in Mae Young. They've had matches where Shayna
beat her on NXT.
Beat her on NXT. They've had
a title match.
Yeah, Sane winning the belt, and then they've had a rematch where she wins the belt back. So what's going on here?
Well, I agree with you, but I think this is more a victim of circumstance. The TV tapings fell in between Evolution, so like they could have just announced a different opponent, but then there would have been the question of why didn't Sane invoke her rematch clause? Because that's the awful thing about the rematch clause. Absolutely, yeah. So I think this match almost feels like a victim of circumstance, which is a shame, really, for your NXT Women's Championship. But we will at least get to see the trio of Shafir and Duke out there as well. So
yeah, that's cool.
Which is cool, and it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, which I'm sure will be very good. Next up, we got a women's division match between my girl Dakota Kai against Taynra Conti, who you may recognize if you don't watch NXT on the reg, was in the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal earlier this year. She is Brazilian and a judo expert.
A judoka.
Judoka, which Nigel McGuinness took so much pleasure in constantly saying. He was just like, I know this word. I'm going to say it. As
judoka.
Judoka.
It's the game where you make words out of nine squares.
I thought this was a good match. really, it was all about Dakota Kai's kicks for me.
Yes.
She was showing off her team kick skills. I love the scorpion kick. And yeah, she did some good, running kicks and whatnot, and then hit her backstabber for the win, which is called the chiropractor.
Oh.
The chiropractor. Because she does this sort of
terrible
spinning. I think the move is cool.
The move is super cool.
It's super cool. It's heavily contrived, everyone's favourite word. But it is it's a really fun looking move. Ollie hates it.
Yeah. You can't pull it out of nowhere, I think is the thing.
Absolutely.
So it's not you have to be in the exact situation in which you can do a roly-poly and then be like, and your back is hurt.
Exactly, yeah. It is she essentially looked at the Canadian Destroyer and was like, how can I make this look even more fake?
It would be a really good move to just have in the middle of a match, but being it's so difficult to be like, let's set up for the finish. If you could stand up, please, and then roll over at the right time, that'd be great. Lift me up onto your shoulders, and then I'll roll through.
Yes.
And then we'll do a backstabber.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
But I thought it was a fine little match.
Yeah, she had some good stuff. I didn't think there was much more to write home about
Absolutely not. Her selling was very good, though. Mia Yim was backstage with the Angel Kathy Kelly, and she just talks about how great it is to be in NXT. I'm so lucky to be here. This is the best. You guys are the best. And Bianca,
cheers to you.
Cheers to you. And Bianca Belair walks in, and she wants to know why Kathy is interviewing Mia Yim when she should be talking to Bianca Belair. And she does her undefeated gimmick slowly, while purposely chewing as loudly as she can into the microphone.
It was so good.
So awesome.
It was so good.
I loved this. Ted.
It's giving me tingles, Luke. It's like weird ASMR what you're doing.
It was so good. Although I'm very surprised that Mia Yim was a babyface here, to be honest, because she was more or less playing a heel in the Mae Young Classic, being the Blasian baddie. So it's kind of weird to see her then just come in here as a babyface, and her catchphrase that she is the head baddie in charge is super lame.
It's the most overworked nickname though, because if you are the head of something, you are in charge. So that's like saying. It's like saying stripy tiger. Tigers are stripy. The definition of tiger is stripy big cat.
Yes.
So if you say stripy tiger, it's the same thing. Head baddie in charge. Yes, I know.
It is how I feel like...
I am the head accountant, but I'm also in charge. We knew you were in charge, Steve.
It'd be like... It's how I imagine my 6-year-old self would have described Dr. Claw in Inspector Gadget. Like Mad is the organisation, and he's the head baddie in charge of it.
I'm the head baddie in charge.
I like Mia Yim.
I'm the goodest hero of all.
I like Mia Yim and everything, but head baddie in charge is wonderfully lame.
But then also HBIC, when she's like, well, you're the EST, but I'm the HBIC. It's like, okay, cool. So you're running a bank now? What's happening?
Yeah. We then got that WWE.com clip that we saw last week after Matt Riddle's debut and his win, and he's walking backstage with our boy Keith Lee.
Just being a bro,
and he's confronted by Cassius Ohno, who likes to break new toys. It felt like they were almost setting up Keith Lee and Matt Riddle as a team.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, because they were there. I mean, obviously, they're very good friends in real life. Ollie and I have been for drinks with them, name dropping there. And so they are genuine friends in real life, but it really did feel like they had like catchphrases, like they were sharing each other's catchphrases as if they were being set up to become a tag team. Which, I mean, is not the worst use of Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. There are much better uses of both men. Top Guys, for example. But as a tag team, but then again, to your point earlier, that's another babyface team. Because like Lorcan and Birch are a babyface team. So like we're just like loading all these babyface teams in here, which I suppose can go up against the Undisputed Era. But if they don't have the titles, or if they lose those, they get called up, then you're just left with loads of babyface challenges.
I think maybe it's not a tag team thing. Maybe it's more like they'll just be in each other's corner, and then they can have a feud that just combines the two of them.
Yeah.
Rather than having to do like, let's have a separate feud for both guys or a separate thing for them to do, and this can just be like a back burner thing for them to do for a little while we get to the point where all the guys at the top of the roster go away.
Yes.
Like they go up to the main card, and then we've actually got some space to do something with these two.
Yeah.
So for now, we can just have Matt Riddle matches where Keith Lee comes out, Keith Lee matches where Matt Riddle comes out, and then they swap over facing the same opponent or whatever it's going to be. You know?
And realistically, you don't even have to do that. Like, you don't have to have them as a tag team. You don't have to have them in each other's corners. You just need to set up backstage. These two are friends.
Yes, absolutely.
Because this is an interconnected world. It's the MCU of WWE, and people see each other backstage and they interact with each other backstage. They have relationships backstage that don't need to play into storylines. With that said, I wish Keith Lee was on TV more.
Well, yeah,
Because he is awesome.
That would be fine.
Then we got what I would say was probably the best thing on the show, which was an awesome video package for War Games. This is a video package that I would imagine will probably play on the pay-per-view just before the match happens. But I will happily watch it again. I may even watch it again once we finish this recording. This was so good in hyping up like the danger of the War Games match, the awesomeness of the Undisputed Era, how these 4 disparate guys, or at least 3 disparate, Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders have come together to fight against the Undisputed Era. I just thought this was absolutely brilliant. I thought this was really awesome.
Yeah, my only note is that it's an amazing promo with terrible music. It's like really bad. I didn't notice for a long time how bad the music was until there was a bit towards the end, and I was like, oh no, that's really bad music.
Yeah, NXT has some sometimes they have some really great tracks. Like they had Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. I mean, that was a long while ago now, but that was a really cool choice. Sometimes they have some absolute honkers in there.
Yeah.
Like there's a Bring Me the Horizon.
Bring me the horizon.
Bring it to me. Bring it over
Please,
here.
could I have one horizon?
And they have got the most generic song for War Games. Like, main roster music for pay-per-views is objectively terrible. Like, it is all... Unless it's Little Mix, it's always very, very bad. It is terrible. But sometimes NXT just pick the most generic songs. Like, you forget about it the following week.
It needs to sound like, something, I don't know.
It needs to sound like every song from 10 years ago. Yeah, let's do that. Perfect.
They've found a search engine that just does the sound-alike search engine. It needs to sound, the promo we had 6 years ago? I want a song like that, but not that one.
Yeah.
So what's the most current song in the search database? Oh, here it is. It's Bring Me the Horizon this week.
Yeah, so we have a music library that we have access to when we do our weekend videos and stuff. And that is full of generic music that sounds like other things. That is what this sounds like. It sounds
like Audio
like
Network back in the day when you used to be able to search literally sounds like a whole new world or whatever it was that you were editing, and you'd be like, okay, yeah, sounds like that. And it's like, oh, there we go, an exact replica of that song, one note changed.
Well, exactly. We're doing something on the Undisputed Era, so I went into the search engine. I was like, find me a song that sounds like Rage Against the Machine, and I just found it. I was like, this sounds just like Rage. That'll do.
Yeah,
perfect. My favourite thing about this promo, though, that really did make me laugh, is that Pete Dunne, during this, says, Undisputed Era, you always have the numbers advantage, but at War Games, it won't be about the numbers advantage. And I was like, no, Pete, that's exactly the point of War Games, is that at some point, there will be a numbers advantage. Yeah. Eventually, it will be 4-on-4, but for the majority of the match, it will literally be about the numbers advantage.
And they're probably going to get it?
Yes, they probably are.
I think.
I would imagine so.
Be a bit naff if it wasn't.
Well, it was a tremendous video package either way. We are making jokes, but it was a tremendous video package. And it was announced that next week Mia Yim is going to take on Bianca Belair. And William Regal is also backstage, and he announces that there is going to be a singles match next week with the winner getting the advantage in War Games. He doesn't announce which of the 8 men are going to be in this match, but we'll find out.
Who would you like to see?
Who would I like to see? I would like to see Kyle O'Reilly against Hanson. I would really like it to be one of the War Raiders in a singles match, because that's something you don't often see. I'd also like to see Kyle O'Reilly in a singles match anyway, because he's awesome. Or Bobbles Fish would be great in there, because we haven't seen... Bobbles hasn't been part of a match since his return, so that would be also quite cool. So I'd imagine it would be Cole or Strong, but I'd like to see it changed up a little bit.
I'd love it to be Fish versus Ricochet.
That'd be cool.
And maybe taking out his legs.
Yes, we can't...
A bit of chair shot
so in the
setup for TakeOver.
Absolutely,
and be like, Ricochet's coming in damaged.
So we then got our main event of the evening, which was set up from a couple of weeks ago.
Do you think he's going to do the 6:30 off the top?
Yes. Yeah, I would imagine so. Like they want to do
Do you
their
think
big
if he does it off the
highlight
top,
reel
he'll get?
spot.
Do you think if he does it off the top, he'll get even more flips in?
Is this like what we were talking about with Justin Simon?
Yeah.
Like if you put him in a bigger building, he could just do more flips.
Is he going to get? Is he going to do a 1080?
1080 snowboarding.
1080 snowboarding. Is he going to do that?
Oh mate, imagine if he's doing that while on an N64. So we then got our main event of the evening, we set up a couple of weeks ago, which is the Velveteen Dream versus Lars Sullivan. I did see your notes on this earlier, which is just...
How dull.
Lars is big, how dull.
I was very tired this morning, and I was quite annoyed at having to watch Lars Sullivan.
Well, and I would say this got off to a very hot start because Velveteen Dream is so good. Like, he is amazing at this. And he's actually transitioned very well into a babyface role without changing a single thing about his character or the way that he presents himself in the ring. But as soon as this bell rings, he is on Lars Sullivan and trying to, like, chop down this big tree. And it did get off to a really, really hot start. But then it just fell into Lars Sullivan doing a Vulcan nerve pinch for what felt like forever.
Well, after he chucked him around a bit, and obviously, like, it still looks good when he's chucking him around, because Dream is the highest jumping man I've ever seen.
He does when he
just
when he
leaps.
Jessica Biels him across the ring,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he can really get some height on.
And there was also that amazing moment where he popped him up, and then Dream, at full height, just does a drop kick to his face, and then pops back down. And I was so
he has
good.
got a wonderful drop kick.
Yeah, that was really good.
Incredible standing drop kick.
I thought it was good. Like,
Yeah, it was.
I enjoyed it. Like, there was lots of good bits, and there was lots of nice close finish, like close falls with Dream doing some of his like bigger moves. Like, he managed to do the Dream Valley Driver.
Oh man,
on
so
Lars Sullivan,
impressive.
which was amazing.
That move is incredible. The way he rolls himself over is so awesome.
Yeah, and he did just a bunch of stuff there that looked really, really good. And then it just all became a bit shenanigan-y for me. And I just wonder why we can't have Dream just win some stuff. Like,
Yeah, especially as you're going into a championship match. I mean, unless this is setting up for it to be a triple threat
Yes.
at TakeOver War Games, which could very well be the case because Lars Sullivan did pick up the win here. Dream was on a roll. He did get the Dream Valley Driver, which looked absolutely awesome, and he got up top to do the Purple Rainmaker. But then Tommaso Ciampa ran down from the back, and Dream got distracted and jumped onto Ciampa instead. And when he got back into the ring, Lars hit the freak accidents for the win. So Dream picked up a loss here on his way into a championship match. And then Lars essentially Thanos'd away. He just disappeared. He just walked up the ramp and celebrated.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. And so I thought the match it started off really well. It ended quite well, but I thought the middle section with the Vulcan nerve pinches were not as good.
No, definitely not. And then we had a whole bit of stuff at the end.
This stuff at the end was very, very cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed the
like
stuff at
this.
the
I thought
end,
it was a good way to end off this show, which, as we said, wasn't really much to write home about, but I thought this end segment was cool. So Ciampa gets back in the ring and he starts attacking Dream and he's sort of shouting at him that he's not in his league. And then Dream just starts firing back and he hits a twisting DDT onto the title and he goes up top to hit the Purple Rainmaker, but referees come down. They're like, no, Dream, don't you do it. No. And they're like checking on Ciampa. Bad Dream. And then Dream starts going up the ramp and then decides, F this. And he runs back down, gets up top, and he hits the Purple Rainmaker, and he grabs the title. And when he grabbed the title, this NXT crowd was super into the Velveteen Dream being NXT champion. It was a really awesome, genuine babyface reaction. And he's there, and he's sat around time. And actually, it felt like a really cool moment.
Yes.
It's the sort of moment I thought that someone could tape this and then pretend online that Dream won the title at the tapings.
Yeah,
You could have leaked this online and said, like, oh, Velveteen Dream wins the title at the tapings.
Yeah.
And it looks so real, and the crowd are so into it that it does look like someone just changed, like he just won the NXT championship. I thought it was a very cool ending. I think Dream is good.
Yeah, I think you absolutely could have got that exact same ending without having to have him pick up a loss to Lars Sullivan, because has he had more than... How long has that been like that for?
It's literally just gone. I've watched it go.
Okay.
I don't know why. Oh, there it goes. It comes back.
No, let's come back. An error
It's occurred. Click restart from the beginning. Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, no, so I just think you could have... Like, how many matches has Dream actually won? 2?
Well, I mean, yeah.
More than 2?
He beat EC3 at Thingio, and then...
I think
he's probably won on TV.
I think he won like one of his first matches when he first appeared.
He's probably had some wins on TV. But I get your point. Velveteen Dream, he's we've always said that he's the guy that people beat at takeover shows as a way to move up the roster.
He's definitely the kingmaker.
Yeah, he is the kingmaker. So I'm really happy to see him in this position. I don't feel like it's the right time, personally. Like,
that's what I mean. It's like, we could have built to this being the right time for Dream. We could have built off the back of that EC3 victory into this run where he has this, this insane set of wins, and then he ends up with a title shot. Instead, they just went, I don't see Velveteen Dream a title shot, and it was like, oh, okay. And then I thought this might be a moment like, he could beat Lars Sullivan here. That's a really big deal. And then Ciampa attacks, beats him down, goes too far. Dream then gets up, fires up, and we get the exact same moment with him holding up the belt, and everyone's well into it, and that would be fine. Because the thing is with Ciampa, like, he doesn't have to do very much to be regarded as the worst man alive. So he only has to come out, really, in NXT. So it's not like we needed to do, like, he distracts Dream and Lars picks up the win and go through all that sort of normal gaining heel heat. He already has the heat. He maintains it in a core inside himself that is constantly furnished by a series of dwarves or something.
I think the problem really is that, and it's a WWE-wide thing, and it usually is in wrestling as well, is that you don't want giants to lose.
Absolutely not.
Like, if you have unstoppable monsters like Lars and his terrible trunks are, you don't want him to lose a lot.
Lars and his big boy pants.
His big, strong boy pants. You don't want him to lose a lot. And Braun Strowman's the exact same thing. You don't want to beat Braun all the time because then he loses his credibility. Problem is then you then have to sacrifice other people at the expense of not sacrificing your big strong boy.
But then why do we have Lars Sullivan in this match? Just get him out of this picture.
Well, I'm guessing
get someone else.
Again, as I'm saying, if this sets up the triple threat, then I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yes, if it doesn't, then
if it doesn't, then it's not so great.
Also, why do WWE always name so bad at naming big people like Lars Sullivan, Large Sullivan, Braun Strowman, Braun Strongman, The Big Show. Terrible.
The noun. So I thought the show overall, the show was fine. I thought there was perfectly fine wrestling on the show. I thought the War Games promo video package was great. I thought that Gargano's promo was very good. I thought the Shayna Baszler was the best thing. But I thought the ending of the show was quite cool as well. But it really didn't feel like a right-home episode of NXT. It felt like we're just filling up time before we get to the go-home show next week, and that's where we'll do some big stuff there. So
I think they've been on a massive hot streak recently, and I think this is obviously
you can't always have that.
Yeah, and obviously like they've been a bit hampered by where the tapings are comparative to various other pay-per-views. So they've struggled to be like, let's maintain sort of momentum with the tag division and all these other bits and bobs leading into War Games, and now we're just in a sort of like filler week where we just bubble away. Yeah,
we'll just have Heavy Machinery versus Forgotten Sons, and they win. Last positive point I will say about the show, last positive point I will say about the show though is that Lars Sullivan has incredible entrance music. I absolutely love it,
really good.
And I thoroughly enjoyed. There was a guy probably at 3 rows to the back who was air pianoing along with it.
Was he?
Bloom, bloom, bloom,
there was a little. I saw a little granny at one point. I can't remember where she was. Oh, in the Lars Sullivan match. Yeah, she was just in the background of one of the shots, just watching along.
Like my nan at old World of Sport shows.
Yeah, my nan did that as well.
But anyway, that is all we have got time for on this week's episode of WrestleRamble, reviewing an episode of NXT. God, I'm bad at this. Click the videos that have just appeared on top of this desk right now to catch up with more awesome more awesome, whatever. Click videos and click this button here. I've been Luke Owen. This has been our fake Laurie Blake, and that was NXT.
That was really bad.